Right? You're only as good in your influence and your decision making as you are in the ability to read the person whom you're trying to influence. So, very quickly, let's talk about a definition. Let's go a little bit beyond body language. We talk about reading people. It's a term we coined back in 2004, actually 2003, but we've since sort of developed that, and the definition here, as you can see, there's a bit to it, but it's important just to take a second because this is going to speak to what your takeaways. Okay, short of being a fish and chip shop, but apparently you've got to take away from this. It's not enough that you come, have a nice 45 minutes, be entertained and feel good when you leave. You've got to take something away. I'm so greedy these days. What's in it for me? Here's the thing. It's a process. You actually can do this. Right? You already do it. Unless you sit somewhere on the autistic spectrum, right? And we know that people sitting on the autistic spectrum struggle in some of these regards. We're not quite sure exactly why yet, but they have trouble reading people. Right? Therefore, they have trouble influencing, which is an interesting correlate. It's a process, and there's two things you've got to do. You can't analyse what you don't see. I'm going to show you a video towards the end of this, if you're still with me. And I'm going to show you that a lot of the time it's not that you can't read people, you don't even see the stuff that would give you the cues to be able to read it. It doesn't even register. It just, it's gone. You're sitting here looking at me saying, you didn't do that, I didn't see that, that didn't happen. Right? So we talk about capture rate. We're going to talk about your capture rate. And basically one of the things when we train the customs guys or in the airports, when they're down deciding whether or not you're bringing something in the country that you shouldn't, we spend the first whole day just increasing their capture rate. Just getting them to see more. Nothing else. We don't do interpreting, we don't look at meaning, we just lift their capture rate. And we find on average their capture rate goes up by anywhere by about 40 to 100%. We increase the amount of things they see. And the way we know that is we show them videos at the start, we go into all this work with them, we show them exactly the same videos in the afternoon and they go, oh, wow, 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 wow. Okay. Then we've got the four areas. So, here we go. So verbal stuff, 7%, you don't have to worry about verbal too much because it's only 7% anyway. So don't listen to people's my message. Unless they're very interesting, in which case you should be on. But the reality is language is an important meaning conveyor. In fact, it's easier. It's easy. Language is really cool. Anyone who's had kids remembers the first 2 years until they couldn't talk, how frustrating it was. Then when they can talk, finally, they can tell me what's going on, even if they are little liars. But at least they can tell me stuff now. I can hear what's going on. So that's the verbal one. Here's the non-verbals. This is the body language. This is stuff everyone's interested in. What I'm going to do today is, unfortunately, I'm not going to do what my arms mean, or what my legs mean, or what my eyes mean, because you can get that from a book or an app. You can get all that stuff. We're going to talk about some of the other interesting areas. One that we've been doing a lot of work on is proximity. Okay, so proximity between individuals gives away a lot about what's going on with them. Okay. We've got these others. So paralinguistics is just how I use my language. Tone, volume, pitch, cadence. Right? So what's interesting about this, when we start looking at, for example, gender, I don't know if you know, anyone who's read Peas will know this, but women on average have anywhere between, they estimate, 10 to 14 areas of the brain dedicated to tone. Right, just tone, pitch, cadence, volume, tone. Men on average have between 4 and 6. Seriously, so that's not funny. Neuroscience is not funny. What could you possibly be laughing at? It's the implications that you're laughing at, isn't it? You get in trouble a lot, don't you? That's why we get in trouble, because have you ever heard one woman say to another woman, don't use that tone with me? Never. Ever. Is there a bloke in the room that's never had that said to him? No, right? Don't use that tone. You know why? We've only got 3 tones. Right? So the word fine for men, for example, that means it's either sunny, I'm allowed to do it, or it's sunny and I'm allowed to do it. That's the only possible meanings of the word, it's fine. Women, there can be 47 different meanings of that, just that word. And that's because they use it differently. You want to start reading people, you want to start reading for how much we are wired like a man or a woman. Right? Because that's on a continuum. Right? Just saying men and women, the big problem with that, from the point of view of reading people is, you know, what makes you a woman and what makes you a man? I'm interested in brain wiring. I'm interested in how you think like a man and how you think like a woman. A man, okay, as we're going to look at later, the ethic they operate on is different to women. You know that study that they did of women and 12-month-old babies? So on average a woman can detect 12 different types of crying in a 1-year-old baby. Hungry, scared, tired, wet. On average a man can detect 3. Louder, take it. So, this one's interesting, and this is the one there's been a bit of work around. Indicators. Indicators are anything that gives me insight into the choices that you make. Right? Indicators, if you look at Gosling's work, he did some good work around looking at dormitories and trying to explain who would be living in that dormitory based on the gear that was in there. And the indicators are the things that show me about choices that you make. Highly subject to context error, but they're important. Right? You ever been walking through your office space and you walk to one cubicle and it looks like, you know, they just went to the circus. There's like stuffed animals and flowers and sticks and pictures and you can name the crap it's in that area. Right? Then you go to the next one and you're not sure if someone works there or not. You compare those two, right? They're the things, the choice that we make. The choices we look at are things like grooming, jewellery, so accoutrements, what you wear, all that sort of thing. They're the four things. If you can come up with anything else, I'd be happy to hear about it. They're the four things we use when we try and read people. Now here's the other thing that I want to sort of challenge you a little bit on. Why do we read people? I'm actually interested, I'm not going to do the whole go into groups and talk about it because I hate that stuff. But I wouldn't do it. I would just sit at the back and go, no. So this poor bloke who's sitting upstairs, I don't know if he's in the room, I was sitting in one of the back of one of the things, and she's gone, okay, now they're going to groups, and he's looked at me and I've gone, I wasn't that bad, he was quite nice. Point is, I do want you to think for a second and go, why read people? What are you interested in? What do you want to do? If it's a hobby, that's fine. Seriously, why do you want to do it? It was one of the biggest things we struggled with when we were putting this together is why are we trying to read people? Deception's the big one, it's the common one. I want to know if someone's lying. I don't know if someone's lying to me. Well, everyone wants to know that. You know, the reality is, research shows that on average you're better off flipping a coin than trying to detect if someone's deceptive by using language, non-verbals, any of those things. You're better off flipping a coin, you'll get it right more often. Alright? So what's the other reason? And this is what we come up with. Attributes and motivations. This is what we read for. We actually do it intuitively anyway. Right, when you meet someone, I like them. You've done a read. What do you like about them? If they give me something, if they do something for me, if they're attractive, you know attractive people are much more likable than unattractive, somebody would know. Some of us do. Some of us get a lot more stuff here than others do, right? And seriously, it's just true. Attractiveness is something that we are predicated towards from a brain point of view. So attributes are long-term, they're stable over time. Right? Personality is a part of attributes, but some of the research we've been doing the last 2 years on uncertainty, and one of the attributes that's starting to emerge is people's tolerance for uncertainty. Right, so how much tolerance someone has for uncertainty is becoming an attribute of an individual. And I can read for that. Okay, we can read for that. I can ask a couple of simple questions and figure out whether you have a big tolerance or a small tolerance for uncertainty. Another one's motivations. Another word for motivation is emotion. Emotion's our strongest motivator. Right? And so when we start to understand this, we start to understand influence behaviours, and we realise that if you want to influence someone, and you have a choice of influencing them on the basis of an attribute or on the basis of motivation, which one are you going to try and move for every time? Attributes. Motivations are temporal. They change. I don't want to try and work with you on the basis of this. This is how people sell insurance on TV, antibacterial liquids on TV. Right? You bad mothers who don't use antibacterial sprays. And no different whatsoever than the normal ones. So